What is up? How is it going, everybody? It's a Wednesday night, hump day. How you doing? Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you're having a good week so far. During this quarantine, it's late April. We got 2 days left in the giveaway, and we are going to talk about the giveaway items this evening, specifically how to fish them. It was a recommendation last evening during our live stream. Somebody wanted to talk about, maybe it was BJ even, wanted to talk about the lures from this month's giveaway that ends in about 48 hours from now. Reilly, what's going on? How are you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good evening. 3 people in here, 1 thumbs up already. How are you guys doing tonight? My back is bugging me a little bit, so excuse me if I'm a little bit fidgety on the stream. And I probably won't be on a full 2 hours this evening, so Ray's going to have to deal with it. You know, again, I didn't post any warning. I didn't email him or anything, let him know I'd be on, so he can deal with it. He'll be late as usual. Joe Gutierrez, good to see you in here. I don't know if we've spoken before or if you've ever jumped in on the live chat before, but good to see you in here. Doing pretty well this evening. Aside from my back being a little bit sore, can't complain, man. Beautiful weather here in Colorado. It was like 65 today. It's going to be something like 70, maybe 80 something tomorrow. So I'm with my girls again tomorrow. My wife's working tonight. And Reilly, what are you doing deleting those messages? So, Joe, it's beautiful weather. I'm just hoping to get going fishing a little bit more, man. Well, nice to meet you as well. Whereabouts do you live, Joe? And what's your profile, man? How old are you and where do you live? Because we've got a really diverse crowd that hangs out during these live streams, and it's usually just 1 or 2 days a week, and it's pretty cool. We've got people all across the U.S. and up in Canada. Every now and again, we get someone who's international. And we've got people. We thought Reilly was the youngest here at 16 years old, and we've got some guys who are in their 60s or maybe even their 70s. And last night we had a couple kids that were like 13 years old. The other night we had one of the regular guys' kids on here who's 9. And anyway, Joe, what's your deal, man? Kenneth Smith, how are you doing tonight? Reilly, sorry to hear that that you're not doing too well. Could be better. Sorry to hear that. Hope that your shoulder starts healing a little bit better. BJ Harris, how are you doing tonight, man? We are doing well, at least for the most part. Reilly and I think, are a little bit sore, but we're in here and happy to be hanging out. Ryan, how are you doing, man? Just doing some spraying, you say. What kind of spraying you talking about, man? Joe says, I'm only 14, but I love fishing, and I'm from California. Cool, man. What part of California do you live in, Joe? And what kind of fish are you going after most of the time? You fishing freshwater or saltwater? And yeah, let us know, man. Ken Smith, what's up, man? How's everything going in Tennessee right now? Hope all is well. I don't think you've participated in the live chat either, man. Good to see both Joe and Kenneth in here. Brian Waterman, how are you doing tonight, man? Good to see you in here. Hope you are doing well. 6 people in here right now. 5 thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. Looks like everybody's doing well. We've already got everybody participating in the chat. As I mentioned in the first couple of minutes, Kenneth Smith, no, just joined and raining. Oh, dang, dude. So you just joined the live stream, but we've been streaming for the last couple of months a few times a week. So just saying, I don't recognize your name. So glad you're in here and participating for sure. But sorry to hear that it's raining in Tennessee, man. That sucks. Reilly says, my tournaments are back on, but I have to delay my Texas trip. Well, that's pretty sweet that your tournaments are back on, but unfortunate, and makes sense that you have to delay your Texas trip. Hopefully you can still go though for half of it. You said you were going to go for like most of the summer, right, Reilly? Joe, I'm an Oxnard, and I mostly fish freshwater. Bass is what I go for. Right on, man. So I think you'll enjoy most of the conversation that we have here if you're fishing for bass most of the time. So I'm not familiar with where Oxnard is, but that doesn't really matter. Spraying Roundup in the fields before they get seeded. John Deere sprayer, 1,200 gallons, 120 foot, books 15 miles an hour. Dang, dude. Ryan's doing some serious spraying. BJ says, raining here in Alabama. Alex Rosenlund, how are you doing tonight? Hello to you as well. Reilly says, hey, as long as I can fish, and yes, May to beginning of August. Okay, yeah, so hopefully you can still get half of your summer in Texas. All right, guys, so there's 11 people in here right now. Let's just get into the topic of what we were going to. I think it was BJ's suggestion, but we're going to go over the items for this month's giveaway, which ends on Friday. So in 2 days from now at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time right now. So you've got a little less than 48 hours to enter if you haven't already. There's no way to enter multiple times. So I assume that the majority of you 13 people have already entered. But if you're watching on the replay, we're only 7 minutes in, so pay attention. All you got to do is make sure that you're subscribed, have the notifications turned on, and leave a comment down below letting me know that you are, in fact, subscribed. And that's it. Quite honestly, I think we've got about 100 entries right now. People's odds are pretty good right now. Darren Wu caught my PB on a vile craw. Haha. I don't know why that's funny, but good for you, man. Congrats on the PB. A vile craw is a good bait, man. I hate to go digging, but I will. Just to prove that I like a vile craw. What color were you throwing, dude? There it is right there. Oh, I didn't even need to go digging. I've got a quick pack rigged up. Some Okeechobee craw and some of the Alabama craw. Those are the two colors that I like to throw a lot in that bait. In this box right here, I've got Rage craws. I've got a few menace grubs, but I pretty much moved those into their own box. Just got a couple leftovers, and I've got a bunch of Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed craws, and then I've got more Rage craws, Vile craws, and Kraken craws. So anyway, in my craw box are in fact those Vile craws. You don't need to laugh about it, man. Congrats on the PB. California 420 is a good color too, man. Ray's late like usual. Of course he is, Ryan. What do you expect? Ray, welcome to the show, brother. Got caught up reading a good article. Interesting. Tell us about it, Ray. What were you reading? And why was it interesting, dude? Way to go, Darren. Nate Cranky. What's that all about? What's what all about, man? The Vile craw is a good soft plastic craw. Well designed. And if you were to have bought it recently, you could get these super cheap. But what's cool about them is that it's very clear which way it's supposed to be rigged. So it swims really well, and then it's got this cavity for the hook to just rest in there really nicely. And these kickers have really aggressive flanges. So you can remove the middle guy if you want, and just have the craws, or you can leave it and all three will kick pretty hard. And this bad boy has a pretty aggressive action, pretty durable soft plastic, good colors. Generally speaking, I'm pretty impressed by Biospawn soft plastics, even though I don't like a lot of the Catchco stuff in general. I think Biospawn's a little bit, one off from Catchco. So oh, Nate, you're asking what this live stream's about, dude? We're all just hanging out talking fishing tonight, bro. Ray says, I'm good, really good. $86 less, Rich, today, but good. Wife got home and said, $86. Ray, what the hell? What did you buy, man? Darren, I also make my own lures out of the garage, just reusing my old plastics and sometimes sell them to my friends. Have you ever made your own baits? No, man, but I think that's a good idea, especially if you've got certain baits that you buy a lot of, or that, you stock up on. If you get something like, Zoom, and you get a full pack of soft plastics, you're getting 20 trick worms, or you get 10 ultravibe speed worms for 15 of those. You get a lot of soft plastic, and you could easily remelt that and shoot a mold of something else if you just had your own stuff to do that. But of course, there's the initial investment, and you got to have the equipment to make it and the space to do so in a safe manner. And I'm not super interested in doing that, but I definitely applaud and kind of envy the people who do that. So good for you, Darren. That's exciting. I'd be curious to see pictures of what you make, even though I probably would not be interested in purchasing any of your baits. But thanks for letting us know that you do that. That's pretty cool. Ryan says, I'm liking this stream while spraying. It's a good way to pass time with the crew. Dude, spraying some serious time. That is insane. Or some serious land. Is it not dark where you are, bro? Ray says, haha, nope. And not your advice, Ryan. Prove that and made me test your theory. Dick Fitzwell, what is up, brother? Love some Biospawn. Ray says, Tyler, why didn't you check your email? Dude, I didn't check my email at all today. I was just with my daughters and wasn't on my computer whatsoever. So I apologize if you did. Dang, now that I'm thinking about it, you probably emailed me and were asking her like I told you to do, and you probably went to look at those baits like you said you were going to, which, dang it, I hope that didn't all happen. That's true. I didn't. Ray, I'm sorry, bro. That's my bad. Yeah, Ryan, I feel you. It would be cool to make your own baits, right? If you didn't see my comment earlier, Oxnard is in the Ventura County, about 2 hours away from Los Angeles. Okay, Joe. I did not see that earlier. Sorry, I often miss comments as they come flying through the stream. So, looks like Jack is back in here from last night. Good to see you back in here, Jack. Hope you're doing well. Joe, Jack is 13 years old and is just getting into picking up a bait caster for the first time. So everybody in here is trying to help him out. In fact, Jack, I've got one more person who sent me a message on Instagram today saying if everything else fell through, they've got a couple reels that they'd be willing to hook you up with. So pretty awesome to think that we had 3 people in no time step up and just offer to give you a reel. And the person on Instagram said if you were willing to pay the shipping cost, they would give you the reel for free. So one was a Shimano Casitas and the other, I don't remember what was. So anyway, really generous of that person to offer as well. Darren says, do you fish soft plastic toads as well as hollow body frogs? Absolutely, I do. You say, I still don't know when to throw which and which is better. Opinions. So good question. We could get off topic for a while talking about that. But what is your Instagram? My Instagram is hooksets, period, are free, Darren. And so anyway, yeah, I've got a whole box of soft plastic toads, and I do like to fish them quite a bit. You know, in the same place that you would throw a buzzbait, but you can get a bit more risky with where you throw it because it's not going to get hung up in anything, but it's not going to have awesome action in the thickest of stuff. So there's a time and a place when you're throwing on really thick matted stuff. You want to throw a hollow body frog, but when you've got kind of sparse grass on the edges, or you're only able to throw a buzz bait so far, and then there's a whole area before it gets super thick. That's where you want to throw your toad. It's more of a weedless presentation. You could throw a fluke there. You could throw a weedless swim bait. There's a lot of things you could throw, and I really like throwing a toad there. So there's a lot of different toads to throw. A few just to mention are like the Strike King Rage Toad, the Kitech Noisy Flapper, the Zoom Horny Toad, the Stanley Ribbit and Top Toad are really good ones. And those are just a few of them. There's a handful of others that we could talk about, but those are some of my favorites and the ones that I throw the most frequently. I would also throw a toad on the back of a buzzbait, but I like throwing a toad rigged weedless up in the thick stuff and then bringing it right out and throwing, bringing it back like a buzzbait. But occasionally, if you know where the fish are, you can kill a toad on the retrieve, and it will sink and swim on the way down, and then you can work it through the water column. You can work a toad like a jig. You can throw a bullet weight on the front and work it like a Texas rig. So a toad is actually a lot more versatile than you would think, and just right there, it's a lot more versatile than a hollow body toad or hollow body frog, which really you're only working in one particular way, right? And you want to get it up into the thick and the nasty stuff, and get the fish to come to you. So anyway, hope that kind of answered your question. I know I went off topic a little bit there. Ryan sprayed 2,000 acres today. Already sprayed 80 acres since the stream started. Dude, just workhorse. Killing it. Good for you, man. Reilly says, Jack, I'm sending your 8 baits, hooks, and weights out tomorrow. Dang. Good for you, Jack. Ray, $86. What did you buy, man? Tell us. What did you buy with those $86? So Jack says, thanks, Reilly. What companies sponsor you? Berkeley, Lewis, Academy, and Bass Pro. Ron Holly in the building. How you doing tonight, man? BJ says, still looking for that bait caster. That good for a newbie. Yeah, BJ, I'm wondering if we could get you in touch with somebody else, that might be willing to sell you a bait caster on the cheap that's lightly used. And I was trying to think if I might have one that could be appropriate for you to have and use. I just haven't gone fishing enough this season to know what of my stuff might not get used, and that I'd be willing to part with. But at this point, I've got like 10 bait casters, and and I think a couple are really going to sit on the back burner and not get used this season. So I just haven't decided. And anyway, I think we should just keep the conversation going either way. So thanks again for reminding people to hit the thumbs up button. There's 16 people in here, 10 thumbs up. Hook me up right now. We're 20 minutes in, guys. 15 people in here. Looks like I just scared someone out. Once I catch up with these comments, we're going to talk about the giveaway items and how specifically I would fish these, will fish these, and recommend that you guys do as well here during the spawn here in 2020 and beyond, depending on when you might be watching this. It's possible that you could be watching this in 2021, 2022, or beyond, depending on what happens with YouTube in the future. So, sorry. Jack says he said someone on his Instagram has a reel for me. Yeah, I did. Ron, my wife is making me apologize for the second 20 comment last night. For the second 20 comment? I'm not sure what that means, but you don't have to apologize for any comment that you make. Ron, no worries about it, man. Ray says, Reilly, I did ask my wife first. I had her on the phone while I was in the store, asking her if I should still get them, even though I hadn't heard from Tyler. Okay. Yep. So tell me, how many of those axes did you pick up, right? And what colors did you get? I guess we could talk about it later, but I would love to just have you tell me right now, and I'll react in front of everybody. That doesn't bother me. 13 people in here. Looks like we scared a couple people out of here just by saying hit that thumbs up button, but whatever. I don't mind it. Quinn is in here tonight. Yak Angler 419. I was trying to remember your name, dude. How are you doing tonight, Quinn? He said, hey, everyone. Anyone use the Seville pivot frog? Just picked one up. Also, Jack, reel in the mail tomorrow. Dang, Quinn. Quinn is on it first. That is so cool. So Riley's sending baits, and Quinn is sending a reel, and Jack is getting the hookup. That's what's up. Ray said, I had to make an executive decision on colors since you went MIA on me. I know, I'm so sorry, man. That's my bad. BJ said he's willing to pay for one. Either way, Nixie Morales, how are you doing tonight, man? I don't think we've ever seen you comment in here before, but welcome to the stream. Welcome to the crew. Hope you're doing well. Whereabouts are you from, Nixie? Ron said the second 20 years of married life was a job. Yeah, maybe you should apologize for that comment. Ron, you crossed the line a little bit with that one. Darren, these are my favorite type of live streams. Just chill, relax, talk outdoors, talk life, talk fishing. Gotta love it. Absolutely, Darren. Feel you on that one for sure. Nixie says, planning my next fishing outing from Green Bay. Okay, cool, man. Right on. Ray says, number one was Black Magic. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Keep it coming, dude. Keep it coming. I'm hopping on 6 cents right now to double check colors. I know the Black Magic for sure, but hit me with the next one, man. Nixie, being from Green Bay, what are you fishing for mostly, man? Are you going for smallmouth, or do you fish for largies, or do you fish for other species of fish as well? And how'd you come across my channel, dude? Ray says number 2, sensory shad. Ooh, I like that one a lot. Okay, let me just double check what color that one is, because I do like that. Does that have the scales on it or no? Pretty sure it does. Hit me with the next one while I look it up. Ooh, it does have the scales. Yeah. And the orange belly. I like that. And like a blue back. Sick. Sick, sick, sick. So did you get a number 3 or what? How many did you get, Ray? Hit me with it. Nixie says, definitely smallies. Now the suckers are running through. I think I saw you on Instagram or Fishbrain. Yeah, it was probably Instagram. I'm not really on Fishbrain these days, dude. Haven't been in a few years, but was really only on there for like a year until I realized, oh gosh, I'm spoiling all my spots way too fast. And the only reason I'm on here is to jack people's spots. And I don't really like the vibes. So I dipped out of there pretty quick. But haven't been on Fishbrain for a good year or two. So it was definitely Instagram. Maybe you hopped over here because of the giveaway the other day. And that's why you got the notification for the live stream here tonight. Who knows, man? Joe, sorry, man. Sadly, got to go. I'll be on the next live for sure. No worries, Joe. Hey, thanks for being in here tonight. Good to meet you for sure. Thanks for hanging out for this first half hour. No worries. We'll see you in the next one. Ray says Tiger Truce. Oh, dude, no way. I know I sound ridiculous. Dude. I told you Tiger Truce was... Man. All right, Ray. You picked some good ones. Super sick. Oh, man. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. I'm looking up Tiger Truce. Guys, eventually in the future, I'm going to get better at this whole streaming thing to be able to flip this around and let you see what I'm looking at on my browser so that we can look up these colors together at the same time and stuff. I'm looking up these colors, and I just absolutely love them all. FFL, just sub to you. Hey, appreciate it, man. Really appreciate the support. Thanks for saying that. Thanks for hanging out in this live stream. And if you haven't already entered the giveaway from a couple of days ago, do that real quick. Just hop over to that video, hit the thumbs up button, leave any sort of comment, and let me know that you're subbed and you're entered. There's only like 100 people in the giveaway, and I'm giving away a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go through it right now if you didn't already know about it. So, Nixie, dude, what you talking about? Got the last 2 tigers, found it hidden. Ray, unbelievable. Only one other black magic left, and I got the last century shad. Woo! Looks like you got there just in time to scoop them up, bro. That is insane. Jack, how do you enter? You go to the video on my YouTube channel that I posted the other day. It's got giveaway in the title, and it's like spawn / site / bed fishing lures giveaway. You click on the video, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, and you're entered in the giveaway. So long as you're already subscribed to the YouTube channel, okay? Alex says, sorry to go off topic, but what's your favorite trout lure? Dang, that is a little bit off topic, but I am a fly fisherman, so I don't throw a ton of lures for trout, but here's my trout lure box. I like throwing micro crankbaits and micro jerkbaits. So specifically, the HD Trout by Dynamic Lures is just, it's undeniable. I have it in like, 6 different colors, but this bait right here, if you don't know about it, you need to check it out, okay? It's small, it has just the right rattle in it, and it's got a great action. You can literally just swim it through the column, and it is a sinker, so it's awesome in current, and you can work it fast if you want on like a twitch pause type of retrieve, but I like it better than a lot of the other small jerk baits that I throw. You know, the Yozuri Pins Minnow is another good one. I like the Rapalas and the Striking Bitsy Minnows even. But also just a standard like trout magnet, dude, will slay them. So that's not quite as fun of a way to catch them. The Ned Rig has been surprisingly effective for me in accidentally catching trout. And then I've got a whole box over there of inline spinners, which of course are like an old school and very, very effective way of catching trout. You know, inline spinners and spoons and other types of jigs like that. So there's a lot of different ways to catch trout, but my preferred ways would be like that jerk bait from Dynamic Lures or the trout magnet. Those are probably the two that I throw the most frequent. So anyway, let me catch up on comments. Ray says I might be late, but I do all I can to a man of my word. That's true. You're a man of your word, bro. No worries, Ray. Rooster tails and wedding rings for trout. Absolutely, man. Reilly says, sorry, Tyler, off topic, but I'm posting my first YouTube video tonight about top 5 beginner bass baits. Awesome. Very cool, Reilly. Good for you. What are the 5 baits that you're putting in that video? I'd love to know. Because is it like top 5 rigs or top 5 baits? Either way, tell me. You know, is you talking like spinner bait, wacky rig, shaky head, Texas rig? I wonder what I would consider the top 5 beginner bass baits. You know, standard shallow diving crankbait, like a square bill maybe. Anyway, no diggity, J-Dog in the house. Hope you're doing well, man. Nixie says, on my cell phone, I have the option to block you or report you. Yeah, don't do that, bro. Please. Oh, man, I am way not caught up. Darren's got to go to bed, got school tomorrow. Hey, man, thanks for hanging out tonight, Darren. Really appreciate you. God bless you as well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you again in the future. Awesome to have you in here. See you, man. FFL is trying to hit 50 subscribers tonight, so he says once I hit 100, I'm doing a giveaway. Right on, dude. Good for you. I'll check out your page later. And what you could do is leave a comment after the video's over. Leave one comment in the comment section. You're more likely to have people see that than here in the live chat right now. The 17 people that are in here might be seeing it, but I doubt many people are switching off of here to go check out your channel during this stream. So wait till it's over and leave a comment there, and you might get a couple people check you out in the next couple of days while the video's still getting some views. So Reilly's Bassin for life, but you probably won't show up. You'll have to click on my profile. All right, Reilly, we'll check you out later too, and make sure that Reilly gets a subscription and check out those videos. That one video. Reilly has sponsors because she's on a high school fishing team. Jack. Darren's got to wake up at 7 a.m. Yeah, don't we all? 7 a.m. is not that early, dude. Sorry, I'm not trying to troll you, Darren. You get as much sleep as you need, man. Seems like Reilly doesn't ever go to sleep. Alex says, Tyler, that jerkbait is what I caught that Palomino on. Awesome. Yep, not surprised to hear that. Big trout will go after little bait fish imitators, and I like to throw a rattling hard bait with a couple of treble hooks on it, compared to say a tiny little swim bait like a 2.8-inch Rage Swimmer or Kitech, something like that. They will still eat, but they have to engulf it. You have to set the hook, and on something like a trout, with the way that their mouth is, having a single hook that you have to set through the roof is less likely when they're chasing it down. I feel more confident fly fishing with tiny hooks than I do with just a single hook swim bait. So I find that they swipe at jerk bait fish imitation baits when they're going after those. They'll hit it and then try and get away, and so you can usually set on them right as they get slack in the line. And a lot of times you can see them hit the bait too. So anyway, let me try and catch up here. Shoo! FFL, I caught a bluegill on some grass today. Right on. What were you throwing to catch that bluegill, man? Ray, you even went by the UPS store hoping I'd message you. Dang, son. I will message you in the next couple of days, I promise. I'll try to get back to you tonight, dude. I'm sorry about that. Jack says, I caught 23 bluegill today with hot dog. Holy crap, Jack. Good for you, man. That's crazy. Adrian Valdez. 22 minutes in. What Matthew do in 22 minutes? I'm not sure what you're saying, man, but sorry, Adrian, I don't quite understand your comment. Brian Waterman, what is going on, bro? Let's get this party started. Let's see some baits. Absolutely. Okay, guys, you're going to have to stop commenting so much because I can't keep up. Adrian Valdez, what is up, dude? I'm going to get into these baits. I'm not reading your comments anymore. I'm caught up, okay? Boom. Ready, set. Here's the giveaway. You have 2 days left to enter this. And let's first talk about bed fishing. No, let's first talk about these baits and then work it into the overall conversation about bed fishing and where these fit in and how I would fish these and how I recommend that you fish these. I have all of these baits in my arsenal already, by the way. Ray, let me just write that down then, bro. If you're just going to throw it out there like that. What's your area code? Eight 867-5309. You J-hole. I didn't realize that until I just did that. No, I know this song, Nixie. I literally wrote it down. 867-5309. You son of a b. You got me good on that one. 867-5309. Okay, guys. Number one is the Dark Sleeper. Yeah, I know it's a song, BJ. I got trolled. Ray got me good. Megabass Dark Sleeper, homies. In the half ounce. Yeah, he wins. Megabass Dark Sleeper, half ounce, Wakasagi color. Okay? Boom. That covers the swim bait / jig category of bed fishing baits. This right here, the Wakasagi color, as you can tell, has a pink belly, a greenish gold top, and an orange fin. So this could go for a bluegill imitation or a lot of other bait fish that are common in a lot of different bodies of water. Wakasagi is a very common bait fish in Japan, so that is why you might have heard of that color, especially from megabass. So next up are Texas rig baits, and in here I've got an old school bait, the Zoom 6-inch Lizard. This is in the black color, so very old school bait here. You could dip the tail in chartreuse. You could draw on this with chartreuse or red, or not at all. Just leave it straight black. This resembles a salamander more than anything. But, you know, a creature bait is a very classic bed fishing bait. And I've got a pack of 4/0 EWG hooks, the Berkeley Fusion 19 hooks specifically, a 6-pack of them to pair up with those. I'm not including any weights, but I would generally recommend rigging this on like a anywhere from a 3/16 to a 3/8 ounce weight. If you're going to Texas rig it, I would probably not peg the weight, just so that it's going to increase your hookup percentage just a little bit. Another bait to throw on that same Texas rig with those EWG hooks is the Striking Rage Bug in the pearl white color. So Rage Bug in the pearl white colored baits are really popular to fish around the spawn because of their color. Okay, you, the fisherman, can see the bait, which is key. Some would argue that natural presentations will be just as effective, but it depends on the water clarity that you're dealing with, and oftentimes the fish are going to eat the bait no matter the color that it is. So it's more about your preference as an angler and where your confidence lies. And then lastly, we've got a pack of the Z-Man TRD ticklers, and this in the pearl color as well. So this is a white bait. As you can see, it is a small Ned Rig style bait, a stick with some tentacles on the end. Comes in 8 to a pack. And to pair up with it, I've got a pack of the Lifted Jigs Ned EWGs. This is a EWG hook on a mushroom style jig head. This is a white painted jig head to do a weedless Ned rig presentation. A Ned rig is an awesome way to catch bedding fish as well. And so these are 3 different ways to catch bedding fish. And I'm giving away all 3 packs of soft plastics, the 2 packs of hooks, and the 1 swim bait in the Dark Sleeper as this month's giveaway. In order to enter the giveaway, you have to go to the video from a couple of days ago, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Any comment will do, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And that is it. As of right now, there are like 100 people entered. You've got pretty good odds of winning if you just hop in, so you might as well. So I'm going to dive into some of these baits just a little bit. Talk to you first about bed fishing and like 10 different baits that I would throw and will throw as the bed fishing season heats up here. Reilly, you cut it out. 867. Oh, you got me good. For real though, Ray, hit me with your number. Maybe I'll just text you. That would be the easiest thing if you didn't already. Send me an email with your number. Anyway, let's talk about 10 baits that I would throw for bed fishing, and explain where these ones fit in. So there are a lot of different ways to fish for bedding fish, but most of the time my preference is to fish from the bank and walk the bank and be as stealthy as possible and try and see the beds as I'm approaching. So here are a couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to bedding fish and how to fish for them. Is first and foremost, you do need to be stealthy. You got to keep your distance and be quiet, and try to avoid eye contact with the fish as you're approaching and as you're targeting them. Now, I would recommend along those same lines, you got to understand that every fish is different. You're not going to be able to use the same technique that you did to catch a bedding fish last year and expect to catch them the same way this year. Every fish is different. Every situation is unique, and you have to go in with an open mind. And along those same lines, you have to be willing to try different things, try different baits, different size lures, and different colors. So, a jig, I think, is probably the most classic, most common bed fishing bait, and you can throw anything from a teeny tiny little finesse jig to a big old jig. But quite honestly, I don't see any reason to throw anything real big, because what you'll find very quickly is that once you put a jig in the vicinity and you get them interested, what they're going to do is come over and they're going to grab that bait right behind the hook, and they're going to pick it up and they're going to swim off with it. You're not going to trick a bass into accidentally eating the whole thing, and you're going to just get him right there on the first go. That's extremely, extremely rare. Most of the time, they're going to grab right behind the hook. If you guys didn't see, Tactical Bassin put out another awesome underwater video, I think today, showing a lot of that same footage. Nixie says, "I'm going to get you." Yeah, staring at them in the eyes is it is nice to intimidate the fish, but once they're on to you, they're on to you, and your odds of catching that fish go down, and likely the time it's going to take to catch that fish is going to go up. So just something to keep in mind. It seems like common sense, but sometimes with bed fishing, it can take a couple of hours to catch one fish, and not everybody's that patient, right? Some people are, some people aren't. I think Ray said he was working on one fish yesterday for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Tell me, Ray. But either way, yeah, it can be pretty crazy. So, a jig is a good way to put a larger profile bait, even a tiny jig like this. This is the Z-Man Cross-Eyes Power Finesse jig. This has just a 2/0 hook in it, and I'm using a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw cut just about in half. And so this is a tiny little profile. Jigs get a lot bigger than this, right? Here's a standard Rage Bug, for example, is much bigger than this jig, but a jig is going to have action to it with that skirt. It just puts out a different profile than a Texas rig bait. So jig is number one. You can throw a wide variety of different jigs and different trailers, all for the same effect. Next thing I'd want to talk about is like a swim jig. A little bit different in terms of how you're going to work the bait, because a jig, you're going to pitch to the edge, the back of the bed, drag it through, and kind of cover the area on the bed. With a swim jig, you're just going to cover water down the bank, just blanketly going over beds, trying to get fish to defensively just attack. And same more or less same technique goes with a swim bait. You're just going to fish a swim bait a little bit more like the jig in being targeted onto beds. So you can, depending on what kind of swim bait you're using and how fast it's capable of being fished, you might work it more like the swim jig, and you might work it more like the jig. And quite honestly, you might work the swim jig like a jig. When you find a bed specifically, you might be swimming it along and then kill it, and then just work it in place, shake it, slowly work it while on the bed. So there's a lot of crossover in these baits, but a bluegill swim bait is probably, once we get off of talking about a jig and then a swim jig. A regular jig, I'm probably using a craw trailer or a creature bait or a beaver trailer. And then a swim jig, I'm probably using a swim bait. You get a little bit of crossover there. And then using a swim bait, I'm probably going to use like a bluegill imitator. Bass absolutely hate bluegills. So throw something small like a 4-inch bluegill in or around their bed, and that should piss them off. Usually, it's going to get them upset to the point of wanting to push the bluegill away, right? They're not going to eat the bluegill. They're not thinking about eating. They're not hungry, but they're definitely defensive. And so if a bluegill gets in the area, they're going to chase them out of there. And so if you bring in a lazy or a more intentional bluegill that's bouncing around in the bed, you're more likely to get a bass that attacks that bait from the side, just gets really aggressive toward the bait. It's going to change their behavior. You might see the bass flare their gills. You might see them start spinning around in circles. They start moving faster. Their behavior will change. A lot of times, bedfish will be slow. They will only react when the bait gets in a very specific spot on the bed that bugs them. There's like a sensitive spot, and sometimes a swim bait, something bigger like that, can piss off the bass when it's not necessarily hitting that sweet spot. So that's something to keep in mind. A bluegill swim bait or a larger profile swim bait can be something to rile up the fish, and then you come in with a follow-up presentation, something that they can't help but bite. And if you put the right thing in there, like a small presentation, sometimes they accidentally swallow the hook as well. So like I said, normally they're usually off to the side, not right in the middle of the bed. They're off right where the bed disappears. Then they're like camouflaged, just watching the bed. You put stuff in there, they will wander on over. They'll nose down on it. They'll start paying close attention. And so you just want to watch their behavior for sure. BJ says, what are some good bed fishing colors to use? There's a lot of different colors, but there's a couple different schools of thought. Bright colors are so that there's a little bit of school of thought just around shock value and the fact that fish are going to be a little bit more defensive. Might feel like bright colors are offensive, might be more likely to bite bright colors. But more importantly, the fisherman can see something that's chartreuse, something that is white from further away. And you'll be able to tell when the fish is just nipping at it, has the tip but not the hook. And you'll be able to tell when they're starting to swim off with it. If you've got a perfectly camouflaged, perfectly natural looking bait, you might not be able to see what's going on there. The fish could be nosing down on the bait and could be biting it and have it in its mouth, and you not quite know because you can't see that. So it pays off to have bright colors, especially if you don't know exactly what's going on and you don't have super sensitive gear. So keep that in mind. So bright colors, that's why I'm giving away white and blacks, just because they tend to be what offend the bass most and what will give you, the angler, the advantage of being able to see what's going on underwater. Now let's try and stay on topic a little bit. Reilly says, also, so people don't know how to spot a bed fish, you should make a video about how to fish and spot it. For sure. Wouldn't it be awesome if we all had drones when we first got to our fishing spots and you could just go up and see all of the different spots, see the fish chilling? That would be super cool. But generally speaking, that's why I said I would prefer to bank fish when bed fishing, because you can cruise, 10 or so feet off of the bank walking along. And if you've got good polarized glasses, you should be able to see bright, almost white spots in the water. And they'll be anywhere from super shallow to, 10 or 15 feet into the water. And they're only going to be a couple feet deep at most. So fish are trying to go up as shallow as possible, in as protected of water as possible. They don't want any current. They don't want any intruders around. So it's easy to spot beds from the bank. And if you were to go right up on the bank and cruise, you'll see beds easily. So that's why I'm saying back off a little bit, be stealthy, go slowly and quietly, and you'll see beds. And so then slowly creep up, see if you can see any fish, but don't get so close that they might be able to see you. And then try one technique at a time. Like I said, play around. There's not a science to it. It's not like you should be starting with one profile over another. But like I said, if you can't see the beds and you're just trying to cover water, you might want to start with something like a swim jig or a swim bait and just be covering water on the bank until you get a bite. But otherwise, if you see the bed, I might start with something like a jig and try and pay attention to the fish's behavior. So anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about worms for a minute, because there's a lot of different worm presentations that you can and should throw while bed fishing. The most common would be like a shaky head, right? Very similar to just like a Texas rig worm. Just throw a shaky head on there and let the tail do the work, and hop that thing around just a little bit until you find the sweet spot, until that bass eats it. But the problem is, you're going to find that even if you're throwing a 4-inch bait on a shaky head, they're still going to just grab the tail, pull that bait off, let it go, and they're going to come back over and protect the bed. So shaky head, while it's an option, is usually just going to get picked up and moved. Aaron says, this isn't a bed fishing question, but I'm thinking about getting a line through swim bait, 4 to 5 inch size. Have any recommendations? 4 to 5 inches is probably not the best size to get, but 6-inch size, I definitely have a couple recommendations. We can talk about that in a few minutes, but right off the top of my head, Scottsboro tackle would be a pretty good one to look at. The Savage Gear 4D pulse tail line through trout is a good one. I have that one. And then like the Optimum Boom Boom makes a line through, but I don't think in the baby size. So you'd have to get the 6-inch, and you have to be willing to throw a 2 to 3 inch bait, or 2 to 3 ounce bait, Aaron. So you really got to have dedicated gear to throw that. So anyway, let's try and stay on topic. I don't want to just be addressing questions. Jim King says, this is interesting to me. Our bass season in Ontario is closed until June to protect the spawn. Sounds odd to hear instructions on doing stuff that's illegal here. That is interesting, Jim. Here in the U.S., it is not illegal at all. In fact, it's not even illegal for tournament anglers to fish for spawning bass, which is just blatantly taking them off and away from their beds, which is obviously not productive, especially if you're catching a 5 to 10 pound bass and just blatantly harming their future spawn. So anyway, yeah, I totally agree, Jim. It's an interesting thing to think about. For most of us here, we practice catch and release. So what we're doing, it's all sport, right? We're fishing. This is just one-on-one combat, right? You're just trying to get the best of this fish, catch them, release them as soon as possible, put them right back to their bed. And as you'll notice, if you were to ever do this, they go straight back to their bed 98% of the time. Maybe more than that, dude. It's like you're not doing harm by these fish other than wearing them out just a little bit, right? They're already worn out from making their beds. So it's interesting. Different places in the U.S. have different standards. Like here in Colorado, a lot of the waters protect the walleye spawn and have different regulations. Like just tend to see bass as being more of a nuisance than anything. It is trout fishing heaven here in Colorado, but everywhere's got different standards, right? So it is very fascinating, Jim. Hope that you're not offended by the topic this evening. Ray says it has its risk, but we restock a ton here in the U.S. I was on the fence about it as well, but this time of year brings in billions of dollars that benefits the fisheries overall. Yep, everybody's going to feel a little bit different about bed fishing as a whole, but I think it's up to you, the fisherman, to do the right thing. I don't fish in a boat the majority of the time. I don't use a live well. When it comes to tournament fishing, I'm a fan of catch and release wherever possible. So I think that's just as important, if not more, than something like not fishing for bedding fish, for example. I think it's one thing if you're going to keep a bedding female, for sure, right? Just like I said, I think it's not right if you're allowing that in tournaments either, but just my opinion. So let's get back to the baits and the techniques of fishing for bedding fish. I think more effective than a shaky head is a Nico rig. Newer presentation, especially to the U.S. these last few years, but essentially you're throwing a wacky rig stick bait with a nail weight in the head of the bait. So a wacky rig stick bait and a Texas rig stick bait, Senko, also make the list. Of like top 10 bed fishing baits, and especially while we're on the topic of soft plastic worms, you can rig a Senko all three of those ways. I would throw a different worm when throwing a Nico rig. We've talked about some of those baits that I like to throw on a Nico rig. Most of them are Z-Man baits, but really the Z-Man Bang Sticks is my number one for that application. The Z-Man Fatties is also a good one. The Big TRD would be a really good one, especially because that smaller profile, the Big TRD being 4 inches versus the Bang Sticks at 5 3/4, is more likely for fish to accidentally try to grab the tail and grab the hook too than that Bang Sticks, which is 6-inch bait. So something to keep in mind. Nico rigging a smaller bait. You could Nico rig a craw bait, That's something that I really want to do more of this year, and don't hear about a lot of people doing, is using a crawbait and literally putting a nail weight in the head and Nico rigging a crawbait. It could be any type of crawbait, but it would be that much better if it were a stand-up bait. So let me show you, for example. Let's see here. All right. Oh boy. So I'm going to show you real quick while we're at it. Little Nico rig action. Oh, I got my Nico hooks in here too. I forgot about that. I carry around this little pack, little on-the-go Nico pack with a bunch of different weights. Couple different styles of nail weight in there. Tungsten, lead, some of the ones that stick out, some of the ones that are meant to go all the way in and stay in. Got one of those skirted weights that BMC makes. Those guys are kind of weird, huh? Golly. All right. All right. I don't think I'm gonna break anything tonight, but I'm definitely fumbling. Check this out. Y'all seen that before? The skirted Nico weight? That's kind of wild, huh? Now check this bait out. This is the Z-Man Punch Craws. I'm actually new to this bait this year, but check out this profile. This makes an awesome jig trailer, and bum ba da bum ba dum. Yeah, you already know what's up. I'm gonna take this. This is the Z-Man Nico Shrooms Wacky Rig weights, and I'm going to take it in the green pumpkin color, match up with this green pumpkin Punch Craws, and I'm going to shove it straight up in that business, and take a look at the way that looks in there. Bang, no problem, right? That thing doesn't come off there. So once that's on there, you don't need to put an O-ring on because Elastec does not need it. Okay, that's unnecessary to use an O-ring when Nico rigging on a Z-Man bait. So I'm going to find which side is head up, and I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way up. Maybe not that high. Go a little bit lower. Again, about 2/3 of the way. And hoppity hop. That is our rig, guys. These claws are going to go straight up in the air, and this bait is going to be defensive. I could cut this down, even an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, and then put that weight back in there. But this bait right here, most people wouldn't think to Nico rig a craw. But how about that? Catch me outside. How about that? Nico rig punch craws. Just might post about that on Instagram in the next couple of days. So you could Nico rig a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, that's my whole point. Wow, I really got away from these comments. Holy crap, you guys are flying, Holmes. I'm just going to try and catch up here. Russ is in the building. What's up, Russ? Alan says, I love this subject about bed fishing. There's a nearby pond that I tried to catch a bass, and it would just move it out. I'm liking these tips. What do you mean it would just move it out? Like when you walked up, the bass would just swim away? I hear you, Alan. Russ had a slow day on the lake. One fish in 4 hours. Dang, dude, that is slow. Sorry to hear that, man. Beats a day at work, though. Absolutely, Russ. Any day on the water beats a day in the office. Fish catches or not. So, no worries, man. Reilly was talking to me. Reilly, what were you saying, Reilly? Used to hate them, but I grew up like that thing, never did, and I'm a bad, immature kid anymore. Don't know what you saying. Quinn says, try this application, not used a lot. 4-inch stick bait, Texas rigged with a BMC skirted weight on the bottom. Change to a regular Nico rig. Yeah, 4-inch stick bait with this skirted Nico weight. Yeah, for sure. That would be a good way to do it. I just don't carry 4-inch stick baits, to be honest. I could cut some of my stick baits down, but I like 6-inch stick baits for the most part. Sometimes I'll throw 5, but very rare, to be honest. So interesting that you say that. Ike puts the hook facing down on that. I'm not sure why either, Brian, but I've noticed that. Doesn't make sense to me, and I'm not sure if he could explain why he does put it down. But if you just think about it, dude, hook facing up is going to allow for fewer hang-ups and better hookup percentage into the roof, right? I mean, when this hook is facing down, think about it, dude. You're literally just pulling the hook straight into weeds or whatever this bait might hang up on. And then when a fish eats it, you might miss them because the back of the hook gets in the way. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to me. So, yeah, that's a good question there, man. Alan says, no, it would pick up the bait and move out of the bed. It was killing me. Okay, yeah, I absolutely hear you, man. It can be really frustrating, but that's what the fish are doing during bedding time, is that they're not eating, they're rather just defending their nest. So almost no matter what you put in there, they're going to grab the bait. I mean, you put in this little sweet looking Nico rigged craw, and they're going to grab the pinchers, or they're going to come down here and they're going to grab the bottom, and they're going to avoid that hook. So it's pretty amazing just how well they can see a hook and know what it is, and in that split second, make a decision to not get the hook. But that's what they do. So you have to piss them off just enough to where you put the right bait in there at the right time and they make a mistake. It's very rare that on the first try with any old bait you get the best of them. Riley says, wish I can get out of work. Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, I'm saying it now. I thought it Thought I were talking to someone else. It's rude to interrupt someone's conversation. Get out of here, Reilly. How am I supposed to know who you're talking to? Isaac, what's going on, man? You didn't miss a ton, but we're talking about bed fishing baits. We're about halfway into what I would consider bed fishing baits that I recommend throwing and that I plan to utilize. And I'm kind of explaining where some of these giveaway baits fit into that mix. So we haven't quite gotten around to that. I've talked about jigs, talked about bluegill swim baits, I've talked about swim jigs, talked about shaky head and Nico rigs. So we're about halfway through. We also talked about the Senko Wacky and Texas rig is always a good option as well. While we're on the topic of Texas rigging a worm, I think a floating worm is a very common technique. The methylate trick worm, methylate floating worm is a really commonly thrown lure this time of year, especially during the spawn. Mark Daniels Jr. Crushed on that bait just a month ago or so, and so you can throw a floating worm. Z-Man makes a couple, and Zoom makes the trick worm, but you throw just a weightless Texas rig and kind of jerk it like a fluke and kill it on a bed. Yeah, Brian, that's one of my main tips when it comes to bed fishing. But Miguel, what's going on, dude? So a little spinoff of the Nico rig while we're getting a little bit smaller and thinking about going away from a shaky head where you've got the hook at the bottom and all this worm hanging off. A Nico rig, you're bringing the hook up into the middle and increasing your odds of a fish taking in that hook. Then let's consider downsizing and going to a Ned rig. Probably the best of the worm presentations of all the ones that we've talked about. While lots of them are good, lots of them are classic, I think more people probably throw a floating worm or a Senko more than these others, but I think the Ned rig is the newest and probably the most effective presentation when it comes to bed fishing with a worm, and just the most basic, right? It is just a jig worm downsized. So while we're on the topic of Ned rig, TRD ticklers. This is an item in the giveaway this month. You've got 2 days left to win this bad boy. Here's probably my preferred way to rig this bait most of the time. What I'm going to do is take this white painted jig head. This is made by Trocar. Has a double barred plastic keeper and an interesting, I forget what they call this style, the angle of this hook, but it is unique, and you're going to see here in a second what it looks like. But the bend of the hook is not what's important so much as just the size of the bait, the profile overall. Golly, sometimes these baits really get the best of me, and I can't rig them right. Okay, there it is. Once you get it rigged right, this thing is just a perfect little morsel. 2.75 inches on a 1/16 ounce weight, and this is hard for a fish. I mean, they can still do it, right? And they will, absolutely. manage to avoid that hook still. But at 3 inches, less than 3 inches in overall profile, they're nosing down on it. All it takes is a little mistake for them to grab that extra 1/4 inch of the bait and grab the hook on accident. So what you're looking for is for them to accidentally hook themselves with a bait like this. And so I say I prefer this hook because it does have an exposed hook and allows for that situation of them hooking themselves. But what I did in this month's giveaway was give a pack of the Lifted Jigs Ned EWG. And that is a weedless hook here. So if you've never seen this, this is an awesome little setup. It is an EWG hook, a 1/0 VMC hook attached to a mushroom jig head. And this is a 1/16 ounce, which is my preferred size most of the time when Ned rigging. You're going to come in and go out real quick, and you're going to rig this up just like you would a Texas rig. You can Texpose it if you want, but more appropriately, you're not going to. It's fine to have the hook a little bit exposed here because, again, you want them to accidentally take in the hook and kind of hook themselves. You shouldn't have to do much setting of the hook, but if you are fishing this around any weedy areas, if the beds are not totally made yet and you're fishing for males who are making beds, you can Texpose this, and as you get fish who are a little bit more defensively biting and eat the bait, you can set on them. But this little guy is an awesome setup. Nothing quite like a weedless Ned rig, especially when pond hopping. So decided to give away the TRD ticklers. The way that I would work this bait is by pitching it just like I would fish a jig. I'm going to pitch this onto the edge of the bed, and I'm going to just move it a little bit. And I'm watching the fish just as much as I'm watching the bait, right? Move it just ever so slightly and wait until the fish cares, right? You could drag it slowly all the way through the bed. It might take you 30 seconds to drag it those, 2 or 3 feet across the bed. But if the fish doesn't react at all, you're going to do the same thing, just 3 or 5 inches over to the side and just cover the next little section. And so it should take you 5 or 10 minutes to cover the area of a bed and read the behavior of that bass and understand what they're doing, what's important, and where that spot is. Like I said, they've all got a kind of a magic spot on their bed where they really don't want you to be, and where they can't help but come over and investigate, intimidate, scare off, and maybe even potentially eat whatever's getting in the way of what they're trying to accomplish, and that is just defend the nest. So the Ned rig, in my opinion, is the stealthiest and most likely the most effective, especially as a follow-up bait. You get that 1-2 punch of a big bluegill swim bait that's going to piss off a bass, and then you throw in a Ned rig, and once they're pissed off and then they see that tiny bait in there, they're going to come over, grab it to remove it, and they think they can just suck it in, swim away, and spit it out. And in those seconds that you've got after they've sucked it in, you can set on them. So keep that in mind. A couple other techniques. A drop shot is a very common way to bed fish, and especially if you've got like a weedy bottom, like where you throw the weedless Ned rig, you can throw a short leader drop shot. You could throw a Tokyo rig as well, but a short leader drop shot with something like a bright chartreuse, like we talked about with that Strike King half shell, and last night I showed you guys with the Yamamoto cut tail. I've got both of those in really bright colors, or you could throw a more natural bait, but again, gets into the visuals and the science there. So it's just personal preference. I would throw something bright, whether it's white or black or chartreuse, and go on a shorter leader, something in the ballpark of 6 to 12 inches. So how do you feel about painting a head color with fingernail paint? I think that's sure, nothing wrong with that, man. Dude, I need that EWG Ned hook. Send me a link so I can buy it from you. I don't know that I have a link. I only have a link to Outdoor Pro Shop, and I don't know that they cover or that they carry and sell the Ned EWG, but I'll definitely let you know. It's a killer little hook. I've got it in a few different colors now, and I would highly recommend that you throw it in your repertoire, especially in one of those lighter sizes. They make it in heavier weight heads, but I would not get something like a quarter ounce ever. You know, I usually throw, like I said, a 1/16 most of the time. Sometimes as light as like a 1/10 from Z-Man. 1/8 from other companies is usually a little bit too heavy, in my opinion. I would throw a 1/8 ounce shaky head, but lighter than that when it comes to a Ned rig. Weedless Ned for the win. Absolutely. Isaac, as I mentioned before, all you got to do is go check out a video that I posted a few days ago. Has giveaway in the title. Click on that video, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and make sure that you're already subscribed to the channel, which I'm pretty sure you are. But that's all you got to do, man, especially for this month. That might change over time in terms of what the rules are on a giveaway by giveaway basis, but that's all you got to do, man. I also left the link to that video on in my bio on my Instagram page, so you could just click that as well. Ray says, Russ, last time I looked, they were hard to find. Yeah, for some reason they're sold out from, Discount Tackle just started carrying them, so they're sold out there. Carl's Beaten Tackle just started selling them. Lifted Jigs has really expanded in the last year and tried selling through a lot more retailers. And some of those newer retailers that have gotten their product are selling out fairly quickly. They're one of those companies that does really well in marketing their stuff on Instagram. They've got a really big following, but I think they're a relatively small or local regional type of company, kind of like X-Zone Lures like we were talking about. There's also another company out of, I think, the Michigan area called Motion Fishing. They're mostly a jig company, but they're just now releasing their own custom crankbaits. So there's a lot of companies like that, but Lifted Jigs is a good one for sure. And I like what they're about. That Ned EWG is a legit hook. Have you ever tried the Bullet Ned EWG hooks from Z-Man? Yes, I have, man. And I mentioned them in a number of videos of mine. Again, same deal. I like this in the lighter weights, especially that 1/10 ounce weight. But I especially like these hooks on the Z-Man Creature and Cross style baits. This is the TRD Bugs here in the deal color, rigged on that Finesse Bullets jig head in the 1/10 ounce. I also like throwing it on the TRD Craws and the TRD Hogs, some of those other baits that Z-Man makes. So yes, I like it, especially a little bit better than the Ned EWG on Creature and Craw baits that I think I would prefer presented at more of a 45 than presented vertically. Okay, so just personal preference. I would prefer a worm presented straight up and down most of the time, and a craw presented at more of an angle, just when thinking about realism. Rocky Samurai, do you have a lot of lures? Yep, Do have a couple, man. Have a question. How many people were on the giveaway? What's that? How many people were on the giveaway? I'm not quite sure what you're saying, dude. There's about 100 people entered into the giveaway as of right now, I think, Rocky. So if you were to enter right now, your odds are pretty good, something like 1%. And if I had to guess, we won't double that number of entries. So the giveaways for now are still relatively small. Yeah, Rocky Samurai. What is your name? Is your name Rocky, or what's your actual name, dude? We all like to get to know each other around here a little bit. Dan the man. Where you at, Dan? Oh, Rocky. Your name is Dan. Okay. Good to know you, man. Appreciate you introducing yourself. Pleasure. My name is Tyler. We got a lot of other really great people in here as part of the regular crew. So let's keep on moving. After talking about a drop shot, which we didn't talk about a lot, but I think a drop shot is a sleeper way of catching them, especially if you're dragging a lot of baits through the bed and you're not irritating the bass. Sometimes just putting a bait up in the water column can do something. So that helps transition into, along the lines of a floating worm. I think a bait that can be very effective during the spawn is like a fluke or even a hard suspending jerkbait. So getting a bait that is a moving bait, but that is stop and go. So I wouldn't usually throw a crankbait, even though sometimes like a square bill can be effective. I would typically throw a fluke. Sometimes a suspending jerkbait, a more shallow diving jerkbait can work, but a fluke can work well. And then on a same type of hook that you might throw a fluke, a classic Texas rigged creature or craw or beaver style bait is probably one of the classic go-to bed fishing baits. Hey Nixie, no problem. You go ahead and get some shut-eye. Thanks so much for hanging out. Pleasure to have you in here. We will see you on the next one, man. So here's a bed fishing bait that I bought last year. It just came out at ICAST last year, and I am pumped to throw it this year for the first time. This is called the Nest Raider from River to Sea, and it is like a perfect salamander imitation. Look at that tail. Look at that paint job. I mean, really cool bait, super realistic looking, and it's got a nice heavy-duty hook in there. I think that's like a 3 or 4/0 hook in there. So this is a 5-inch, 3/4 ounce bait. Not too huge, right? 5 inches. And they used to make this in like a 7-inch bait, and it was more like 2 ounces, and it didn't sell very well. So interesting. They decided to re-release it in this smaller size last year. So yeah, it's something like $7 or $8. So I decided to get one, and I'm really interested in throwing it. But really, its only use is for bed fishing, right? Like this is a bed fishing bait straight up. And so I feel a little bit mixed about having it because chances are I'm not going to throw it other than during the spawn. But whatever, I've got plenty of lures that don't get wet ever. So this is a killer little spawn lure, but you can do the same thing with a 6-inch lizard like I'm giving away. That black lizard, you throw it on a 4/0 hook like I'm giving away, and and fish will kill it just the same. Looks like a lizard or a salamander getting up in their bed and threatening their eggs. So up shallow, salamanders are definitely one of those things that fish are worried about. So let me rig up a little rage bug for you. Got one out of the pack here. And what I'm going to do is show you how I'd rig it. Well, yeah, on a standard 4-aught. Like I'm sending. Alright, so this is a 4-aught Gamakatsu EWG Superline. This is the hook that I would throw a super fluke on. What I'm going to do is come in not all the way, but rather just, you know, maybe somewhere between an 1/8 and a 1/4 of an inch. About 2 notches. Just enough to pretty much bury the eye of the hook. And that's going to come out of the bait most of the way to the top. Rigging this upside down for no real reason. And voila, there you go. 4-aught hook, in my opinion, is about just right for this bait. So I'm going to rig this, weedless like that. Might not even expose it, just leave it open. And then, like I said, I'm going to throw it on as light of a weight as I can, something like a 1/4 ounce tungsten weight. And I'm going to drag into that bed, and I'm just going to wait for a reaction. If I don't get any sort of reaction, I might get a little bit more aggressive with how I fish the bait in just hopping it up and down, fishing it more like I would the jigs. So fish it slow first, in being methodical in covering areas through the bed, trying to read the behavior of the bass, doing what you can. So if need be, if you're not getting any reaction, then you get more aggressive with the bait until you get a reaction. That's pretty much what it's about. So let's move on. I think there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Tubes. Tubes are big on beds as well. And I think there's overlap with jigs and with the Ned Rig presentation that we talked about, especially with the ticklers. But throwing a tube on a bait or on a bed is a good choice. You could throw a white tube, or you could throw a black tube. Got a black tube here. Or you could keep it more natural. You know, I showed you guys the coffee tubes that I like to throw from Strike King in the natural goby color and in the green pumpkin. But a tube is a good crawfish imitator that that's just a sleeper. It's a great bottom fishing bait, and especially during the spring. So you have that big old exposed hook coming out, and it's one of those baits that hookup ratio is a little bit higher than others. So Matthias, how's your night going? Late to the live stream again. No worries about it, man. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. Probably not going to hang out too much longer, but I do appreciate you hopping in here. So better late than never. No worries at all. Dan was asking, do you do live fishing at all? When you say live fishing, you mean do I fish with live bait? No, I do not, Dan. When I was a kid, I did a little bit, and if I were fishing saltwater, I might. But no, I don't fish with live bait, man. Pretty much only lures or flies. Reilly says, are the tubes and ticklers on Tackle Warehouse or Discount Tackle? And also, did you figure out if you want both lipless cranks or just the one? Either way is cool with me. So I did decide I want both. And I'm willing to make it up to you with other stuff, Reilly. But yes, I want both. I decided that I couldn't decide, quite frankly. I think I like that chrome silver shad one just a little bit better and am more likely to throw it, but I have this weird confidence in clear or translucent red baits, and I love translucent baits, period, to be able to see the inside. And like we were talking about, custom lipless, what makes it a custom lipless really custom is the internals and where those rattles are placed. So being able to see the inside of these baits would be super cool too. So I kind of want both, Reilly, if you don't mind. And as I said, I promise I'll make it up to you with other baits or whatever you want down the road. You say the word. In fact, I could send you. Listen, you send me those baits, and when they get to me, I'll send you a pack of the tubes and the ticklers. How about that? How about I send you a pack of the ticklers and the hot snakes? As I said, that's like my favorite color. And then in the tubes, I don't know. I'll have to make a decision later on that. I've got like 5 packs here, but we can talk offline about that. Like sensory shad? Oh, Ray. Damn, son. You got all the good colors of that. So did you pick up 4 of those baits today, Ray? Tell me how many you got in total. Reilly says, that's cool with me. I'll send them out tomorrow. I love the chrome. Be able to see what's in. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate that, Reilly. You know, Brian, you did think Topwater was a go. Maybe sometime soon, man. We got a lot to talk about with Topwater. There's like 5 or more topics to talk about inside Topwater itself. So it's hard to really just start breaking down Topwater, especially when we're not quite there of being able to fish that way. Of course, there's a couple select times depending on the weather conditions and what the fish are doing that you can fish a buzzbait, you can fish a popper or some other topwater baits a little bit early while the water's still cold, but I don't tend to do that. And so for us to just dive headfirst into topwaters is pretty wild. BJ, you're nice, man. You're awesome. You are nice. Ray says sensory shad, only one there. Wait, so you got 2 in the tiger truce, 1 in the sensory shad, and 1 in a different color? Is that right? I mean, I can't decide, Ray, but I definitely want 1, if not 2. You let me know what you want to get rid of, or you want me to buy. Ooh, 2 in black magic. Dang. But so did you buy 5? Ray, how many did you? Okay, 2 black magic, 2 tiger truce, and 1 sensory shad. Is that right, man? Sounds like I need to take 2 off of your hands. Like 1 black magic and 1 Tiger Truce or something like that. Or maybe I'll take one. And who was it? Was it BJ or was it somebody else who said they wanted one? You're absolutely right about that, Reilly. People in here in the OG crew are way nicer than they need to be. I absolutely love it. We've got 20 people in here right now. There's only like 4 or 5 of us actually hanging out. If you're one of those 20 people who's not leaving comments, feel free to do so. And if you're not, but you're just chilling, hit that thumbs up button for me if you haven't already. And I appreciate you hanging out either way. You know, we're just shooting the shit, talking about baits. Last night I did a big unboxing. Tonight thought I would go back through the giveaway items and talk about bed fishing in general. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have about bed fishing right now or about any of these lures, why I decided to include them, how you would fish it. If I didn't address what it was that you were wanting to talk about tonight, feel free to ask a question. As I said, some of the main techniques that I would use for bed fishing are, jigs, swim jigs, tubes, swim baits, especially bluegill swim baits, shaky heads, Nico rigs, Ned rigs, floating worms, flukes and jerk baits, drop shots, and Senkos, and the ones that really fall into, or the ones that I included in the giveaway this month, fall into the category of like Texas rig, creature bait, craw bait, obviously Ned rig, and then a jig / bluegill swim bait. So we kind of cover almost half of the techniques just in this month's giveaway, and I'm hoping that next month I should be able to flip the giveaway such that I'm covering kind of the other half. So I'm hoping to give away maybe a jig, maybe some shaky heads or some Nico rig stuff, and who knows, maybe some drop shot stuff or a pack of Senkos or some tubes. I don't know, but haven't totally decided on that yet, but kind of hoping to have this month and next month kind of cover the majority of what I would throw for bed fishing. So let me know if you have any questions. Happy to switch topics at this point. We're almost 2 hours in, and I don't plan to stay around that much longer. We didn't talk about the dark sleeper too much, but like I said, I would treat this as somewhere in between a jig and a bluegill swim bait. This bait can be worked in a lot of different ways. The dark sleeper is remarkably made. It's weighted perfectly. It sits flat very well. You can jig it, and it, even at the slowest speeds, kicks really well. Has just a lot of action built in, but it's really stable. So it swims well. It hops well. It drags well. This thing can do a lot. So you could retrieve this like 3 or 4 different ways in one cast, right? So keep that in mind. Really cool bait. Alan says, did I miss how to get those lipless cranks you keep discussing? Yes, you did. Reilly has some custom lipless crankbaits that she caught her PB on, and she's hooking me up with a couple of them. It's just a private little deal. That's all we've discussed. There are a bunch of lipless cranks that we have discussed in the past. Those are not what we're talking about. And we could talk lipless cranks tonight or another night, but there's not really a way, Alan, for you to get those lipless cranks. Oh, shit! I kind of knew that would happen. I deserved it, right? Sorry to curse, guys. That was insane. I was pulling too hard. Yanked it. You want to talk about lipless cranks, Isaac, or what? Or it wasn't Isaac, it was Alan. Jeez, that was insane. Ray says, Sensory Shed is my gift to you and your channel. From me, as such a big fan of it and of 6 Cents Fishing. The others are up to you as far as you want to deal with. Dude, Ray, you don't need to do that, man. BJ says, hey, we got Tyler, 22 thumbs up. That is what's up. Absolutely, 24 thumbs up, guys. 21 people in here. That is really cool. Appreciate you guys. Have you Nico rigged a swim bait, says Isaac. No, dude, I have not. I suppose you could Nico rig a paddle tail swim bait like through the back. You know, I have fished a swim bait on a shaky head before, so it's not the craziest thought, but no, I haven't done it, Isaac. Yeah, I'm good. My shelf game's a little bit off. Why are they so shaky? It's a good question, Brian. These are like boxes. My shelf game is a little weak. You're right, bro. I'm sorry. And I do have a lot of tackle. It's weighing all this stuff down. But yeah, oh, way too shaky. Way too shaky. So, do you want to talk about lipless crankbaits? These guys have not been getting thrown like they should be so far this spring, and that makes me sad. You know, my dad said he wants to go fishing this Friday still. We're not going on our fly fishing trip. That got canceled by the property that we're going to, but he said he still wants to go fishing. So I think we're going to go fishing for bass instead of fly fishing for trout. We're going to stay local here. Ray, I don't think she does. No, especially because she's at work when I'm streaming, and then the next day, like tomorrow, she's got to sleep, and then she's hanging out with our daughters. She doesn't really have the time to watch the stream, so it doesn't make sense for her to do that. But you never know. Maybe she does. Isaac, I love lipless cranks too, man. I picked up probably like 10 new lipless crankbaits this year that I've never thrown, and I really wanted to get into them and understand how they fish and when and why to throw one over the other. And I just haven't gotten out and put the time on the water and been throwing a lipless like I should be. I've thrown a lipless a few times, and you know, I've been throwing the red eye shad, like the standard version and the tungsten 2-tap, more than anything else by a long shot. And yet I've got all these new Spros and Storm Arashis and the Berkeley War Pigs and the River to Sea Ruckus and just some more standard baits. You know, the 6 cents Quake in a few different versions. I haven't tried the I'm a suspending vibe, and you know, there's a lot that I haven't tried that I'm newer to and have and want to throw ASAP, but just haven't put in the time, dude. Well, I'm no marriage counselor, but I'd probably erase that part with you writing down Jenny's number. Whatever, I didn't even write down anybody's number, especially when Reilly wrote down whatever, you know, whatever. I wasn't paying attention. And I did my first custom lipless crankbait for striper. It's like 6 inches. What? Isaac? Good Lord. 6-inch lipless crankbait. And yeah, the red eye shad is a good one, dude. This color right here, green tomato. I mean, come on. It's got a black top, red side, chartreuse belly. Classic. I upgrade those hooks to these size 4 Mustad EWG or triple grips. KBD triple grips. That's the deal. And you know, last year I was able to get these red eye shads for $3 a pop, and I literally bought like, you know, 20 of them, and I still have most of them. You know, I caught fish on a bunch of them last year. I lost a couple of them, and I still have most of them from last year. I like the Rayburn red craw color for a lipless. Absolutely, I do too, man. That's a good color pattern, especially from Strike King. Got it here in the tungsten 2-tap. That's painted a little bit dull. Not too shiny on that one. You know, I also like a Delta Cross, something that's a little bit darker. LV 500 there. Or how about the Rapala Rip and Wrap in the red crawdad? Love the color of that belly on the red crawdad. Or the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap in the Honey Craw. This is like a clear, translucent color. You can see all the BBs on the inside of that. And so yeah, definitely like red lipless crankbaits more so than, you know, browns or chartreuses for the most part. You know, I do like this color called chartreuse baitfish from Strike King. Yeah, hooked myself a little bit. It's got an orange belly, chartreuse side with kind of like a silver stripe down there with a black top. Chartreuse baitfish is a pretty good one. But yeah, Rayburn red is a good color, man. Red in general is a good color for lipless crankbaits. Never caught a bass on a lipless crankbait, says Ray. Just don't get them. But I slay random submerged wood on them. Yeah, that's for sure. If you have a lot of submerged wood, a lipless crankbait is not your best friend. I would throw a square bill crankbait for sure, but not so much a lipless, dude. Some lipless crankbaits will throw and come through wood better than others, but in general, not the right bait for the situation, that's for sure. Reilly says, my lipless crankbaits are like maracas. What you say? My new maracas for percussion. Absolutely. I feel you, Alan. All of them are great. Bass Pro Shops threw out all their lipless cranks that had lead BBs, and I went over there and scooped up a bucket full. They have no hooks, so I painted them for fun. Pretty cool, Isaac. Right on, man. Always fun to have something like that happen. You know, if you can pick up a bunch of baits on the cheap, get a good deal, and play around with them like that. I like that a lot. Your uncle works for the place that disposes of them. Interesting. All right, guys. Any other questions before we bounce out of here? Ray, just so you know, we hit the 2-hour mark. 30 seconds ago, bro. We are 2 hours and 30 seconds in. Speaking of those killer deals, Isaac, that reminds me of like the stuff I just got last month at Bass Pro. You know, these baits right here. The this is the Storm Smash Shad. It's essentially like a shad wrap style bait, or like a Berkeley flicker shad. And these baits retail for like $7 a pop, and they're well made, and they've got a cool rattle in them. And they were on sale for $1.50 a piece. So I picked up 4 of those, and kind of wish that I would have picked up like 40 of them. They're pretty cool mid-diving crankbaits, and I like the sound that they put off too. So good for you for doing that one time. Reilly says, read my comment about fishing partner. It's true and funny. Oh, I don't know what you said, Reilly. You retracted some comments. Have you meet my family and I'm 16? Are you good? I don't know what you said. It will help you and Ray lie to your wives, which you shouldn't do. I'm not trying to lie to my wife. And Ray, why were you trying to be more quietish tonight? What's that about? Super Mexican, how are you doing? Welcome. Didn't know that you're a noob, other than the fact that we don't recognize your name, but welcome to the live stream. We're 2 hours in and going to sign off here soon, but really appreciate you joining in and hanging out, and we hope to see you again in a future stream. Looks like you say, do you know what are some good colors to throw around right now? Whereabouts do you live, Super Mexican? Because colors are definitely like a situational thing and a personal confidence thing. So some colors work better than others on different bodies of water, but also some fishermen just prefer to throw one color over another because they've done well on it before. So first of all, Super Mexican, tell me, what part of the country do you live in? And what kind of water clarity do you deal with? Where you fish most of the time, do you have clear water? Do you have dirty water? Or do you have kind of in between, more stained water? Why is Reilly hating on Ray tonight all of a sudden? I don't think she is, man. Ray, don't play the victim, bro. Alan, have a great night. Thanks for all the tips, tricks, and info. Great stuff. Need to head to bed. No problem, Alan. You have a great rest of your night. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you and your support and your engagement as always. So have a great rest of your night. Super Mexican says it's a greenish clear water. Okay, so maybe a little bit stained, a little bit clear. You do giveaways. Yes, I do giveaways once a month. And more and more, I'm moving them over here to YouTube. So I have a giveaway running right now. That video was posted just a couple days ago. Very easy to find if you were to go to my profile. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to my page, like that video, and leave a comment, and you're good to go. you're entered. There's only like 100 people in the giveaway right now, so if you enter, your odds of winning are actually pretty decent. So as for your greenish clear water, I would throw something like a green pumpkin, or maybe something with a little bit of flake in it. I like a green pumpkin blue. You could throw like a grass candy type of color, or a green pumpkin candy, or a watermelon red would work. So also I made a fishing kit today because I'm always going to my dad's. Always going to my dad's and mom's house, and I made it for when I go to my dad's house. Okay. Well, good for you, Super Mexican. Yeah, in terms of colors, I most of what you're going to hear is if you've got green pumpkin and you've got black and blue, that'll cover most of your bases. So if you're trying to pack just a box to go, a kit to have on you, I think you can't go wrong there having like a green pumpkin and a black and blue. I would not complicate it too much. If you don't have super clear water, I would not go all the way to like a watermelon or a watermelon red. But surprisingly, a black and blue will still work well in water that is not really dirty. You don't need chocolate milk water to have to throw a black and blue. So I just have those two colors, green pumpkin for most of the time, and then black and blue for when you want that extra flash, when it's a little bit cloudier or the water is dirtier, throw that black and blue. You say I usually use a watermelon red yum dinger and I make it Texas rig, usually just pitch it next to hard cover and stuff. Yeah, try throwing a little bit of a variety, man. Instead of that watermelon red, switch to a green pumpkin black, green pumpkin blue, a black and blue. See what happens. I do have a lot of Z-Man. I'm a big fan of Z-Man baits in general, and I have a lot of their stuff. I have a ton of other baits as well. Almost all of these boxes are filled with soft plastics, and I have a ton of packs here in this room as well. But Z-Man, as I talked about the other night, is one thing that I just don't store outside of the bags. I don't take them out of the bags and put them in boxes, and I don't have them stashed in containers just full of bags right now. So yeah, all of the Z-Man stuff I have is up on the wall here. Aside from a couple of bags in here and a couple of bags in this container here, but otherwise pretty much everything that I own is here on the wall behind me. So Isaac says, OMG, I'm going to my dad's tomorrow and we're going fishing. It was so hard to pick lures to fit in one tray. I hear you. That's one of my least favorite things about going fishing is choosing what to bring, because I can't just bring my whole collection with me, and there's always that little voice in the back of your head saying, oh, imagine this lure would be perfect, you should have brought this or that. Super Mexican, usually just use okay, I already read that. Don't like the price of Z-Man baits, but sheesh, they last a long time. Yet they're not that expensive though, man. I mean, you usually get 6 or 8 in a pack, and they're like $4. You can get them a little cheaper if you shop somewhere like DiscountTackle.com. Reilly says, Ray, are you confusing me? My phone is messed up and not sending messages. I have to repeat them. Sorry, Ray. Yeah, Ray's all goofed up. Get the new 6 cents lager bag. Fit all you need in for a day. Choice still hard. Yeah, 6 cents does make a larger bag. Yeah, I know they make a few different zipper bags to put soft plastics in. But you're right, they get dried out in tackle trays, and the tackle trays absorb the oil and get warped. You're right about that, Isaac. for sure. Reilly says, my partner asked me I didn't get any more tech. I said no rednecks on her while I slowly pushed to the Bass Pro bag away. Wait, what? Reilly says, my partner asked, did I get any more tackle? I said no. You're hiding the bag? Oh, you're already getting into bad habits, Reilly. Don't want to get in trouble. So to enter the giveaway, one more time, you got to go check out the video on my page that I posted a couple days ago. Hit the like button on that. Leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and that is it. Yeah, Ray, are you hammered right now? What's going on, bro? I think everybody's confused about why Ray is confused. I don't know what the heck is happening. I can usually just buy my tackle at Cabela's, but I'm going to try out Discount Tackle. Yeah, dude, Discount Tackle, generally speaking, is a great place to shop. It's been my go-to place for the last year, for sure. She invited Ryan and BJ fishing, but not me. Then she said I recommended lying to your wife, which I certainly did not. And no, I don't drink. Yeah, Ray, you're just going off on tangents, though, man. Haven't been in English class for a while, says Reilly. You just got to slow down when you're typing. Isaac says, one last question. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color of the alphabet, yes or no? What? Isaac, that question doesn't even make sense. What's your favorite color of the alphabet, yes or no? Dude, what am I even supposed to make of that? My favorite color is blue. My favorite letter of the alphabet, I don't have one. Yes or no? Yes. Sorry to be rude if that was. I have no idea what you're asking, man. So I'm gonna dip out of here, guys. If you don't have any further questions, and I'm about to pee in my pants, so I need to dip out of here no matter what. Isaac says mine is fettuccine. Guys, this live chat is getting weird, and I can't follow you guys right now. So I'm gonna dip out of here. Currently saving up for a Shimano Corrado DC. Might pair it up with a G Loomis E6X. That would be a good combo, dude, for sure. I know, Isaac. It's just getting weird. Hey, BJ. Blue's a good color, man. All right, guys. You have a great rest of your night. Have a good rest of your week if I don't talk to you. And we will catch up soon. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate your support, as always. Good luck fishing, and I will see you soon. Cheers, guys. Peace.